Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call the November 29th meeting of the County Commissioners to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'm going to do roll call beginning with Commissioner Stephen. Commissioner Culberson?
Here.
Commissioner Mike Smith?
Here.
I'm Vicki Cos, I'm here. And Commissioner Doug Smith?
Here.
Welcome. Okay, public comment. I don't believe we have anyone who signed up for public. Oh, we do have one person who signed up.
It's going to be the public comment sheet with an attachment on the website.
What's that?
I'm sorry. Well, then come on up. If it's on agenda. It's on an agenda item.
It is.
Okay, come on up.
No moment of silence?
Oh, I'm sorry. We need to do a moment of silence. I apologize. Thank you. You're going to need your name and...
Yep.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Joshua Zinger. I'm a 15-year Leavenworth County resident at 17561 166th Street. A neighbor to two of the properties being discussed today for rezoning. I humbly thank you for the opportunity to provide public comment on rezone issue 2023-33 and 2023-34. I'm providing this comment in writing and will present it in person as well as the email for the 29 November 2023 meeting against those rezoning requests and for retaining existing 2.5 acre zoning in these cases and in other cases where character of the surrounding properties and voice of the community is clear. I'm not against development. I'm for planned and controlled development and growth of Leavenworth County, but I'm also for retention of character of the neighborhood, which is currently made up of 2.5 to 6.5 acre residential lots and large parcel agriculture lots. The neighborhood feedback has been overwhelming against these proposed rezoning requests. Citizens have turned out at 4 separate county meetings at different levels, organized petitions, and shared their concerns. The proposed rezones do not match the character of the neighborhood. There are nearby developments adhering currently to the 2.5 acre zoning, and per the 2020 comprehensive plan, 63% of people thought that new development should be in existing cities, with 11% thinking there should be no development at all. Not a rational choice, I understand. Per the 2020 comprehensive plan, people's reasons that they live here in Leavenworth County or move here, 69% for the rural atmosphere, 52% to be close to family, and 37% for proximity to Kansas City. Each of you representing us has an opportunity here to uphold the wishes of the broader Leavenworth County community as well as the more closely affected residents of the area impacted by this proposed rezone. The residents of the county count on each of you to represent us and our experience as residents of the county. Ask yourselves, what do existing Leavenworth residents gain from these rezones outside of current cities? Higher property valuations resulting in higher tax payments, diminished quality of life based on existing property ownership and their expectations, increased traffic without lights or road improvements for visibility of safety, loss of rural character without the gains of walking trails, sidewalks, parks, sewers, and other amenities. It is this commission that can serve as a check against this growth, be a regulator, and drive developments back into city boundaries, drive the cities to extend the utilities, and be accountable to the county residents as a whole, drive the organized and strategic growth of our communities. I submitted an undersigned 211 petitioners for a public petition stating that we wish for our county commissioners to preserve and fight for the rural character and charm of Leavenworth County when strategically planning and approving zoning requests, focus developments on 1 acre lots within our cities, and preserve county and larger estate sizes outside those developments. I understand the importance of development and economic growth. We urge the County Commission and Planning and Zoning Commissions both to consider the majority's desire for the development within the city limits while preserving rural character of our county. We ask them to give more weight to maintaining neighborhood character rather than promoting checkerboard housing developments away from existing utilities and residential centers. The impact of new homes extends beyond tax dollars and brings significant costs related to roads, utilities, schools, etc., which should be taken into account, budgeted, and planned for in advance of these zoning changes. Set down your planning map and open your ears, please. Listen to your residents' voices. The same characteristics we love about our county will continue to attract new residents. Let us work together at a balanced approach where growth does not compromise our rural lifestyle and complements it. The plan and the map should be coordinating documents. The map is built off the plan. We ask you to reconsider the percentages of county residents that have answered in your own surveys, as well as the protest petitions that were formally submitted. That's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I apologize for the speed.
No problem. Thank you.
This is a paper copy as well as electronic copy I submitted via the website.
You can just leave it right there and we'll get it. Thank you.
Josh, are you from Baser or where do you live?
166.
I live on 166th Street,
right there, neighbor.
approximately eighth of a mile south of the McGee request and approximately a half mile south of the Evans Road Murphy request.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Is there any further public comment? If not, I will move on to administrative business. Mr. Lothry, do you have something for us?
Commissioners, I think I'll let the clerk start.
Today, during administrative business, I have a cereal malt beverage license that needs to be approved for Lake Stop LLC. This convenience store has had a cereal malt beverage for several years. It's in Fairmount Township, and so this is only a renewal to sell alcohol, 3.2 beer at their store, 5%.
Okay.
Do we need to authorize the chairperson to sign it?
Please.
Okay. I move we authorize the chairperson to sign the cereal malt license.
Second.
Motion second. Begin voting with Commissioner Stevens.
No.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-1.
May I go ahead and have you sign
Sure.
this, Vicki?
Come on. Thank you. Okay. Mr. Lothry?
Misty,
We have
present
Misty.
next item.
Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. What you have to consider today is a text amendment to the County Administrator's employment contract. When it was originally drafted, it talked about contributions into a 457 plan, and maybe 2 meetings ago, we passed an amendment for a 401A plan, so this amendment will allow contributions to go into the Administrator's 401A plan.
Madam Chair, I move to amend Section 7 of the County Administrator's Employment Agreement to include a new subsection E, which will replace the second subsection C and shall read as follows. E, the county shall contribute annually an amount equal to the 402G deferral limitation in effect for each calendar year to the County Administrator's 401A plan.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay. Begin voting with Commissioner Stevens.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Anything else, Mark? Do you have anything, Commissioner Stevens?
I don't.
Mr. Culberson?
Yeah, I reached out to Doug Shemke when we talked about that last week, to see if he wanted to remain on the Port Authority Board, and he said yes.
Yes.
So
Okay.
we probably need to go ahead with that appointment then.
Formally redo that appointment.
I can put it on an agenda
Next week.
even next week.
Yes.
So it'll be on the agenda for your consideration.
Thank you for taking care of that.
Sure. I don't have, Madam Chair.
Okay, well, I do have something, and it probably will be somewhat controversial, but I'm going to do it anyway. There was a letter in the Leavenworth Times this week by Representative Proctor that basically was accusing the Board of County Commissioners of not doing our jobs, among other things. And then, along with that, there was also a letter that he sent to his constituents and encouraging people to forward that to others. And what he has stated is patently false, and he knows that it is false, and he is continuing to pass along to the taxpayers misinformation. And this needs to stop. This is counterproductive to the county as a whole. It's hurtful to our county as a whole. We, as a Board of County Commissioners, do not lie to our constituents. And I am very tired of it being implied that we do and that our administrator does. It is not acceptable, and it needs to stop. Furthermore, we had a legislative breakfast that occurred 2 weeks ago, I think, about 2 weeks ago. And in that, there was also an assertion by Representative Proctor that he had reached out to other counties, being Gary County and Riley County, to discuss a compromise for one of his proposed tax cuts to the county, and that they had agreed to work with him on a compromise. I have since found out via emails that that is not the case. He had not yet reached out to any of those individuals. Perhaps he has spoken to other legislators, which is fine, but he had not reached out to county commissioners to have their opinions of what should happen with the proposed property tax break.
Right.
And I think that was something that he gave false information to everyone who was at that meeting, and that's not acceptable. Mr. Proctor needs to own his comments and what he has to say, and he needs to do it in open. We have invited him to come and speak with us privately with our administrator. He has declined those opportunities. And I am very, very tired of having to answer to something that is simply not true.
I'm a little concerned with the article that said focus on lowering property taxes for all. That's what the local ad valorem tax would do. It would lower property tax for all.
And it is not property tax that we're talking about. This is sales tax. There is a difference between property tax and sales tax. And perhaps Representative Proctor is not aware of that, but I believe he is. And it is deliberately he is misleading the taxpayers, and I am tired of it.
And we passed a resolution that we would take the LAVTR and use it only for lowering property tax.
Absolutely.
And I don't understand how they've turned this into a war or a
Right.
battle between the county and the state over the LAVTR, for instance. There's several things that they turn into a battle.
Yeah.
And we're on the same team. We're trying to accomplish the same goals. We're working for the same folks. I don't understand how this is a battle. It should be
Working together to find solutions.
Yeah, it should
And
be
that's
a
all
simple
we've asked
Get
process.
that money back to us, to their county.
It should be a simple
people they
process to work
represent.
together to return this to the
And it
taxpayer.
needs to come back to the taxpayers, so we are giving relief to you as taxpayers. That is something that we have committed to do. We promised to do via resolution. I don't know what more we can do to indicate that we are serious about how we're going to use these funds. And I furthermore resent the fact that in his letter he did not include, when he says that, we will hear from what he has in his letters will not be in the Leavenworth Times or any other place. Well, he has a letter to the Leavenworth Times, and it did not include this information, that he said the Leavenworth Board of County Commissioners engaged, and all the other commissioners are engaged in a coordinated campaign with municipalities across the state and the Kansas Democratic Party to avoid responsibility for skyrocketing property taxes and shift the blame to the Kansas legislators. That is not true. We are not he calls it, we are colluding.
It's almost
This is
laughable.
ridiculous. And
Vicki,
it is.
Vicki, can I
I'm
just-
sorry.
No, I think you're absolutely wrong. Most of you folks that know me know I've been in public service over 40-something years, whether it be a police officer, a city manager, mayor, and now fortunate enough to be county commissioner and work with these fine folks. And I've seen this happen in Washington, D.C. We read about it all the time, and we see it happen in other areas. But I've never seen one person try to divide a group of people, and I'm talking about you folks too, that are trying to do the right thing and just want to sit down at the table and get together. I've heard Commissioner Culberson say it many times. We're not the enemy. We just want you to follow the law like we have to. And every time something like this comes up, it just hurts all of us. It's dividing us. It's not doing any good whatsoever. And I don't even read it all the way through anymore, Pat, because I know stuff is misleading, or you won't come and talk to us about it. So I wish you'd really take a good look in the mirror And the people that support him, ask questions, folks. This is doing this county no good. We can get this better. We're working. I'm firmly believe within a year or 2 years on Election Day and on other things that we've got up in Topeka, now that we've got their attention, that we're going to have some drastic changes on property tax and other things that are going to help people. But I got to know these county commissioners. I was in Lansing forever. And it was always the city versus the county. I've got to know these folks. And no, we don't agree on some things. But I can tell you what, I haven't seen them mislead or tell you something that's not true. And, I've been doing this for a long time. And if you don't have your word and you don't have integrity or morals, then you don't have anything. These folks that sit up here do have that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Stevens?
What's disappointing to me about it is I thought our breakfast went well. I thought overall our breakfast went well. I thought everybody had a good conversation, and we talked about property taxes. We talked about that there's no one solution, but there's a lot of things that need to be done on the state and local level. I thought it went really well, and I would invite Mr. Proctor to come and talk to us, join us. We'll sit down with you and visit about these things, but I think you guys know me. I'm not going to work with the Democrat Party.
Yeah, exactly. But I said it's simply patently false. And that's why I said it's absolutely ridiculous.
But I think we're willing to work with any of the legislators, and I just would invite him to come and have a conversation.
And if it happens to be a legislator that was from the opposing party that has tried to move the return of the local ad valorem to the taxpayers, that's fine. That's not political. That is doing what is right.
And we've had support even on the constitutional amendment. We've had support that's been bipartisan. We have had Democrat and Republican legislators supporting that. But when you have a meeting and then you go to the paper and attack,
and
I
say
think
something
that's
completely contrary to what happened.
But anyway, I hope he will come and meet with us and meet with our administrator.
Well, we thought he was meeting with us for the legislative breakfast, and that there was some things that could be accomplished, but within, and his letter was dated the 22nd of one of the letters that he reached out to, replying from an email from one of the county commissioners in Gary County. The letter was dated November 22nd. Our meeting, when he made those claims, was before the date of that letter. And so we are not, you have to have integrity.
I just don't see why it's so difficult to return money that's collected from this area. And the amount was the amount of what would have been returned is what we actually raised our budget.
And what we would love to, it's just...
I mean, that's tax relief, right?
Yes.
There. What was the estimate? 4 mils?
4 mils.
4 mils.
4 million, yeah.
Around there,
Yeah.
And that's all we're asking for, and we're just asking, and it's okay to admit when you're wrong. There's integrity in admitting when you're wrong, but when you double down, that is not okay.
And the only single argument that I'm getting anymore from our state legislators about not returning the LAVTR is they say we can't trust the cities and counties suspended on tax relief. And my rebuttal to that is, okay, first of all, it's in the law itself that says it has to be used for property tax reduction. Second of all, Leavenworth County passed a resolution that will use it 100% if we get it returned for property tax relief. But the bigger thing is they already put the Truth in Taxation, Senate Bill 13 in place. I thought that was a precursor to returning the LAVTR, because if they're truly worried about the counties and cities not spending to relieve property tax, that would make sure that it was done that way. The Senate Bill 13 would make sure that the cities and counties that maybe weren't using it for property tax relief would have to. So, but evidently they didn't have anything to do with each other.
It's not like we can home rule out and say we're not going to follow state statute.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to follow it.
And it says right in the bill that it's got to be used for property tax relief.
We can't pass a law that says to pass a law that says we don't have to follow state law.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, if I was a state legislator, I'd be using the LAVTR as a feather in my cap. I'd be.
If I was running for
championing
office,
that.
I would
I'm
be
like,
doing
hey,
that.
Here's an easy one.
Yeah.
It's a home run. It's already on the books.
Oh,
All I
and
gotta
by the
do is
way,
make
we
it
have a
happen.
surplus of money at the state.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't
And we ought to be
understand
working as a team. Our legislators that
Ex-
represent our area
exactly my point.
should be visiting with us,
Yeah.
and we should be communicating and not go to the paper and attack.
Michael, I think
And
most,
false statement.
to give our legislators that are around this area, majority of them are working with us. Majority of them we do have conversations with, but all it takes is one person or one group to divide something that's good for everybody. And then you get in a predicament where you're saying, well, why are my property taxes going up? Well, give us back our $4 million, and I'll show you. But the good thing is, even though, and I've said this before, even though we've taken a lot of hits as county commissioners over property tax because we've been raising such a stink about it all over the state, that finally I believe something's going to get done. And if that's what it takes to get the legislators to do something, I'll take that hit.
And maybe he's talking about me because I work with Senator Pittman on a lot of issues. It doesn't matter to me if they're a D or an R.
Well,
I'm
who
just
supported
working with whoever's
it, Jeff?
Making, yeah,
It's Senator
whoever's
Pittman.
going to work the best for the people is who I'm going to work with. So
Because that's who we represent, all of the people.
if they happen to be a Democrat, then that's what it is. But
I'm sure Commissioner Stevens' I will have a report to give the week after next. Because we're going to go to Wichita.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And we appreciate
And-
that.
And like I said, on the agenda for what we're going to be discussing, that's at the top of
It
the
is.
list.
And that's good.
And that's the whole state of Kansas.
Yep.
And the bottom line is, we've been trying to figure out ways to get your property taxes down, and the only thing we've been able to figure out is we have to engage the legislators, and if we did, this doesn't help.
No, it does not. And it doesn't help when individuals, for whatever reason, want to believe something that is not true. It makes it equally more difficult and that's what I'm saying. And when you have somebody that's just doubling down because they won't admit that they were not correct, it's okay. A lot of people did not know anything about the LAVTR because it's, people are reelected, they come in and out. The citizens didn't know. And we took upon ourselves as Board of County Commissioners to begin the process of trying to educate both our legislators and our citizens.
Across the state.
Because that is part of our role of representing people. And the other thing that I want to point out is that we have 5 Board of County Commissioners. We have 5 city commissioners in Leavenworth. How many in
Lansing's
Lansing?
9.
That's 9. I mean, that's a lot of representatives of people who are representing you and that are telling you the truth. You can't get more local than your local government because we're the people that have to look you in the eye every day. And there's just a handful of people at the state. You've got a bunch of us sitting in your communities that are more than happy to talk to you and to listen to you. All you have to do is reach out.
in all these emails that I'm answering back about the letter that went out, the biggest question that I'm getting that I don't know how to answer is they say, well, it looks, and we hear that you guys are just pointing the finger back at the state. And I don't know how to answer that because the 4 or 5 big problems that we found to lower property tax that need to be fixed are not at the county government level. They're at the state level.
Make a motion to do
So
it.
I know it looks like we're just pointing fingers back and forth, but if you just do your homework and look at the facts and look at the situation and look up the laws and figure out how things work, how the system works, the 4 or 5 big things that would lower property taxes all lay within the power of our state legislators, not our county government. So when people say we're just pointing a finger, I don't know how to answer that because I realize it does look like that, but I don't know. And that's why I go back to, why is it a war? Why are we fighting with them when we should be on the same page, same team, saying, okay, here's the problem, this is how you fix it. That simple.
And it's not just our county.
No.
It's all the
Statewide.
counties that are having
Right.
this issue.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting, Ward. I know we've been on this before. When we get 80-something folks voting to be for it and 40 against it, you know, whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, heathen, it doesn't matter. The key thing is, on issues like this, is being able to do the right thing. And leadership, no matter what party is, sometimes you don't have to follow it if it's the wrong leadership. You know, years ago, I'm giving a lecture here, years ago, people, when this country was formed, people ran for, got on it, got elected, and then after it was done, they went home. They didn't care about getting reelected again. Folks, if I run and get reelected or if I don't run, that's okay because I want to be able to look myself in the mirror. People in Topeka need to start saying, okay, just because this person's been head of the Republican Democratic Party for 50 years doesn't mean that's the right answer. And I know I'm going to take hits on that. But that's what's wrong with D.C. We're so divided people, and only the people that can change it are you people and voters that go out and do your homework. We are not fighting with the state, and I know what Jeff's saying. If you want to say we're pointing the fingers, well, to a point I am, because it's in your hands. Please help us resolve this. I think we've done enough of this.
I'm just pointing at the stockpile of money they got.
Well, yeah.
That they could return back to the counties like the law says.
We're at $3 billion now, I think, that they have held, and they didn't keep their budget flat, revenue neutral, that they require for others that have done that. They don't have to do that. They don't have to comply with that, and they did not. And their budgets have increased much more rapidly than the municipalities.
That's because they're not. That's because they're not revenue neutral.
So I would invite Mr. Proctor to meet with us and to come and talk. Let's sit and talk, face each other like adults, and let's have a conversation.
Have a civil conversation, but let's get the numbers on the table.
Yeah.
Well, we think we're having a civil conversation.
Before the legislature? Do you think before the legislature or after the legislature?
Well, I don't. I mean, I think before would be great. But really, the bottom line is, we have people in all of our districts. What do we have? 15,000 in each district here,
15, 16,
and they are concerned that they're going to be priced out of their home based only on the taxes. You might have been living in a house that you bought in the '60s, and now you're paying $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 in taxes. And sometimes down in Linwood, we had it go up 27% in 1 year.
Was it 27 or
27%.
Okay.
That was 3 years ago.
23%.
So we have to get our legislators to put a cap so it'll only go up no more than 4%, and then when you convey the property, it'll catch up to market value. But we will keep people from being taxed out of their houses, and that says the legislators have to do it.
We can't do it. That's what people need to understand. We cannot do it. But if they would return the local ad valorem, those
Would help.
The taxes that are collected, those taxes are collected locally. Those are the taxes that are collected for, like, sin taxes, like your liquor and
alcohol,
tobacco and things like that. And they need to be, and our percentage needs to be returned to our community so that we can do the relief that is necessary to help a large number of our citizens. And we're trying, but we can only do so much, and there's things we can't control here, but I think
part of Mike's area and part of my district, they've got us getting ready to put a school bond out. $60 million.
Yeah, I saw that.
So that's going to be huge to part of our districts.
And the area is growing. I mean, it is, the demand is there, but that gets back to the fact that the school districts control more of the property taxes than the county does. I mean, there are so many issues with property taxes.
But we can't control those issues. We have to live with the state statutes and how they're figured and what the state has determined that they want to depend on property taxes to pay the bills. And when that's the method that the state has determined that they're going to pay the bills, it's going to negatively impact people. That's just plain and simple. So, pointing fingers, I don't know where else to point. I can't point at the public. I can't point at the taxpayers. It's not their fault. And we're doing, to an extent, when they're paying
only
more
17% show up to vote.
To vote, yeah.
That's part of the problem.
That's part of the problem, too. Vote. Get out there and vote.
We've beat this to death.
Yeah, but we keep doing it. But I'm sorry, but I just felt compelled today because I was just...
Tell me how you really feel.
I've had my fill of having these letters go into 11 more times, and nobody wants to, and nobody wants to point out that those are not correct. That's the information is misinformation.
Yep. And letters or articles that are addressing public policy, that's great. But if you're
Right.
getting information out I don't think you need to attack other governing
Right.
bodies.
Well, I guess that's what we're coming down to, and that's unfortunate, because
Yep.
what we need to do is work as partners, and that's not happening. And it's unfortunate. So thank you very much for letting me rant,
All of us.
and then the rest of us have our say. Much appreciated, and
Is that all you had for
that's
administrative?
all I have for administrative, unless you have something else you want. Okay, I will entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
Madam Chair, I make a motion we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion is second. Begin voting with Commissioner Stevens.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Now we're going to move on to our formal board action. We will first consider a motion. No, are we removing the tri-hull from the agenda?
Yes, the applicant has requested that that be placed on the agenda further into December. Staff has no issue with that, so we've moved to pull that from the agenda.
So do we need to table that to the date of the 13th?
David?
David?
You do need to table it to a date and time specific.
Okay.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I move that we table the Resolution 2023-32 special use permit for Tri-Hall Crane to December 13th at 9 o'clock.
Second.
We have a motion is second. Begin voting with Commissioner Stevens.
Aye.
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 Thank you very much. Okay, next, we need to consider a motion to approve Resolution 2023-33, rezoning from Rural Route 2.5 to R143, located at 17679 166th Street.
Commissioners, for your consideration today, this is a 26-acre tract, again located at that address, moving from 2.5.
John, I can't hear you. I'm sorry. And I know
Can
you
you
got
hear me
deep
now?
voice, yeah.
Moving from 2.5 rural residential to R143, which is 1 acre lots. This was remanded back to the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission came back with a recommendation for approval. No protest petition has been filed with this particular action, and staff recommends approval. It complies with the current comprehensive plan, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
We had received something from Baser about maybe running sewer out there, and then would that be annexed? If they did run sewer out there, that'd be annexed, and that'd be 3 houses to the acre?
That's actually not on this particular action. That's on the following.
Oh, that's
action.
on the other one.
Yep.
Okay.
But yes, to answer that, it's in the same.
It's in the same vicinity.
watershed.
So if sewer got out there, then this would have to be 2. So this would be 3 houses to the acre also.
At least, again, typically
least
if
3.
sanitary sewer's there, it's at the highest density allowable, which could be 3 acres or
so
more.
if
Yeah.
city ran utilities out there and annexed, it'd be the city.
It would be a higher density developed with
A lot higher
development.
density.
John, they said they'd annex?
No,
Yeah, I said, has there been any movement toward annexation by Baser? I don't believe there has been.
no. Again, I think they had some concerns with development within the watershed. However, the public improvements are several miles away from both of these petitions today. Again, it's not a easily run or an easily installed public utility. So annexation, as I understand it, would be voluntary, and that's off the table currently.
Well, cities most likely won't run sewer lines unless they're within the city, but they don't have to do that.
Correct.
Unless they're annexed, what I'm saying.
Yeah, and again, in my understanding, it would be a voluntary annexation. However, that is off the table currently. That's why they're developing
Okay.
here in the county, because there are not accessible public utilities in that particular area, and it's cost prohibitive for a developer to run those at this particular time.
Thank you, John.
And do you know what we discussed the Ginger Creek sewer system there, and it's got like 10 years left?
I would have to defer on the timetable of what that has left in that permitting stage. But again, I think that with some action, and again, we're getting off subject of this particular action.
Okay.
It's the further action, but with some work with the developer, I think we can do some things to make it more palatable to the adjoining city in future annexations down the road to to more easily annex that when the time comes and when those public improvements are available.
Well,
Commissioner Stevens?
So I watched the Planning Commission meeting discussing this, and I got a copy of the land ownership map, and it looks like adjacent that, I mean, there was argument about the character of the neighborhood, but it looks like there's some of those, on both of these cases, that the parcel size is, it looks like this would, if you were going to go with the 1 acre, it would fit that character, because there's a lot of that, close to that size of parcels.
Character of the neighborhood is a subjective requirement, but just to answer your question, in those particular subdivisions, specifically Lee Childs, that was opened in 1986, and those lots go from 1.1 acres to 2.5 acres. There's 44 lots between phases 1 and 2. Again, there are 1 acre and 2 acre lot. There's a smattering of both of those in that particular area. So does it meet the character of the neighborhood? That's subject to the person making that evaluation, and a majority of the Planning Commission believed that it did meet the character of the neighborhood, with 2 that did not.
So the other thing is, with our comprehensive plan, the plan contemplates that higher density would be towards the cities. So around Leavenworth, Lansing, Baser area, and then Tonganoxie, close to the cities where the development is, that's the only place that the 1 acre lots are basically permitted around the cities, correct?
Well, higher densities are traditionally planned around cities in every comprehensive plan. The 1 acre lot designation is actually a sanitary code designation, meaning that the smallest lot allowable to have a septic tank or a private sewage disposal system is 1 acre.
And that's the engineered system.
Yeah, it's typically an engineered system, but to say that it can only happen on 1 acre right next to a city would not be correct. However, higher density land use development is traditionally located around each community within a county. And it gets less dense as it moves further and further away from a city.
So I think that's what our plan contemplated, is trying to keep the development up towards the cities, and as you get towards the cities, you have the higher density.
Traditionally, that is what occurs. When you're doing a countywide plan, higher densities are normally planned for the areas right around each one of the communities, anticipating a future annexation somewhere down the road. So, and as that radius gets larger and larger away from those cities, those densities go down.
And that's because that's where the services are.
That's correct.
That's where the sewers
That's
are.
correct.
All of those things.
Yeah, logically, those extension of public facilities will occur directly adjoining a community, allowing higher density development.
And this was all thought through when the comprehensive plan was developed, and it is trying to keep the denser development up towards the cities.
And again, most comprehensive plans, in my experience, not just in Leavenworth County, traditionally plan higher density development around each one of the communities located within a county, with the anticipated goal of the extension of public facilities in the short term.
And I think we get a lot of comments about the fact that they want to folks want to keep the rural estates. They don't want to have higher density. But what I have kind of trouble with on this deal is, if we say no to this and it becomes annexed into the city, by you saying no, you actually may end up with higher density.
Well, once it's annexed into the city, that is it's subject to the city's regulations. And in my experience, again, the highest densities available are what traditionally developers are going to do in those particular areas.
So you may be better off going with the 1 acre than saying no, it gets annexed in the city, and now you have 300 houses.
Well, I can tell you that with septic tanks, you will definitely have a less dense development than you will with traditional sanitary sewer.
So that's
this area, if the developer would decide to say, hey, we're going to run the sewer, well, that's going to make us take Ginger Creek off the lagoons, but the folks in Ginger Creek start paying on a new sewer line. That's my opinion, and that's kind of the way it works. When the sewer line goes by, we're gonna decommission that lagoon and put the folks in Ginger Creek on the sewer, and that's definitely going to help the developer run that sewer down there. So I agree. It will be 3 houses to the acre at least if the sewer line comes there, and maybe more.
And that's the only way that a developer could pay to get that sewer line down there is to have that higher density.
Right, and then, of course, then the folks in Ginger Creek are going to help pay for that line too.
So I'm very sympathetic to folks that don't want to have the higher density in their neighborhood. But at the same time, you have to look at both sides of this and say, what are you going to have? Is the 1 acre or the 1 acre lots, are they going to result in higher or lower density in the long run? And that's the concern.
This is a Chad Chimpke moment. Which sucks less?
Because unfortunately, with the Panasonic plant coming in and the very large developments in the south part of the county, it's going to grow. And I think we want it to grow with country estates, and we want it to be nice development. But when you're talking about density, if it goes into the city of Basel, it's going to be a subdivision.
When we're that close to the city of Basel, that's probably inevitable that this is, at some point in the near future, there will be annexation.
I mean, the sewers at Honey Creek Farms, that development right there, right? The Basel City sewer is right there at Honey Creek.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so you're talking less than a mile away. So
I think it's actually just over 1.5 miles when we looked at when we measured it out from where the existing improvement was to where the edge of this development was.
Well,
but I'm very sympathetic to people that don't
I
want
understand.
the
I understand,
development,
but you're that close to Basel, it could get annexed. I mean, you already got a subdivision over there that's curb and gutter and everything, the Ginger Creek.
John, what's to stop them from, if this was approved, what's to stop them from city of, whatever city, is it Basel? City of Basel, I'm sorry. Still going ahead with the annexation and then changing, wouldn't it all be the same thing?
Well, there are 2 forms of annexation. One is unilateral, one is voluntary. So,
but what if someone did this and then voluntarily annexed into the city? Then the rules and regulations that we're trying to enforce change.
Well, again, if they voluntarily annex into a city, it then defers to the subdivision regulations of that particular community.
Okay. Thank you, John. Gotcha.
Ready for a motion?
Is there any?
Well, just one more comment. If you folks have a chance to get one of the land ownership maps, and they have them downstairs in GIS, and it's probably online too.
Mm-hmm.
But you will see in the south part of the county, the parcel size is already, the densities are a lot higher. As you move north and as you move west, you get more rural areas. But in the south part of the county, it's already pretty checkerboarded down there.
Madam Chair, I move to approve Resolution 2023-33, a rezoning from RR 2.5 to RR 143, located at 17679 166th Street.
Madam Chair, if I might, Commissioner Smith's motion is...
Just a second. Can I go ahead and get a second, and then we can have further discussion? May I get a second?
You need to amend the motion.
Amend the motion. I'm sorry. Okay.
I withdraw my motion.
Commissioner Smith, again, your motion is stated as appropriate. If you could add to it at the end and to adopt by reference the findings on the golden factors as set forth in the Planning Commission report and staff report.
All right, Madam Chair, I move to approve Resolution 2023-33, a rezoning from RR 2.5 to RR 143, located at 17679 166th Street, and adopt the findings as the golden rules as the Planning Commission established.
Do I have a second?
Second.
The motion is second. Any further discussion?
Just, I think we understand the concerns. I
get it.
we understand the concerns, but if you really want to keep the country estates, you're probably going to be better off with the 1 acre. I mean, well,
No
Yeah.
conversation with the audience. Thank you. The motion is second. Begin voting with Commissioner Stephen.
aye.
Aye.
No.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. Now, we are moving on to considering a motion to approve Resolution 2023-34, a rezoning from RR 2.5 to RR1, parentheses 43, located at 16271 Evans Road.
Commissioners, this is a 153-acre tract, as you said, rezoning from 2.5 to R1-43. Again, all the same issues that we just spoke about are applicable to this particular tract. It does have a formal protest petition, a qualifying protest petition that has been filed after the Planning Commission action, but the Planning Commission did recommend approval of this particular resolution. Again, all the same applicable elements from the previous action are applicable here. And I'm here for any questions you may have.
They're right there together.
They're right there together.
I guess I have a question for the developer.
Okay, please go ahead. Developer, you want to come forward? Mr. Riley, welcome.
What's the time frame for you seeing this happen?
Time frame for development would be for us, if zoning is approved, to move forward a plat, more than likely close on the property in the spring and start something in the next 12 months. I told the Planning Commission, currently we have a conceptual design that we've shown planning. It is purely conceptual at this point. There's about 80 to 84 lots. I see that developing in 3 phases, somewhere around 20 to 25 lots per phase. So you could probably imagine a 5 to 7 year time frame for the entire development to happen.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Riley?
Same thing.
Any further comments or questions for John? Or
I don't think we got it all on the first one because they're right there together.
I would entertain a
Madam
motion.
Chair, I move we approve Resolution 2023-34, a rezoning from RR 2.5 to RR 1-43, located at 16271 Evans Road, and approve this by the findings of the Planning Commission of the Golden Rules.
Second.
Motion and a second.
Question.
Okay.
So since this has a protest petition, it requires 4 votes.
Right.
That's correct.
And what would be the effect of would a no vote send it back to the Planning Commission, or what would happen with a?
Well, a no vote would actually amend that request to no if it were a supermajority, 4 or 5 votes.
Okay. What was the discussion at the Planning Commission? If you were differentiating between these two, would there be any significant factor that was different?
No. From what I heard at the Planning Commission level, and as is reflected in the minutes included in your agenda, it seemed to be the character of the neighborhood and densities were the major concerns for the individuals that voted against it. But again, the majority of the Planning Commission voted to recommend approval.
And we still have the same concern that were there annexation to occur, and we're going to have greater density within that.
And this one's closer to the city limits than the last one.
And where this touches the city limits is a island annexation.
Well, it actually has a common boundary on the north side, but it does not have a 50% contiguous boundary. So it would be possible to do a voluntary annexation, but again, as we spoke about in the first action item. I don't know that that's a palatable situation unless the public improvements are available for extension, which they currently are not.
Any other questions? We'll begin voting with Commissioner Stephen.
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Okay, presentations and discussion items. That's where we are now. So,
I had something about you guys saw the Linwood annexation?
Yes.
You guys
Yeah.
copy that second?
yes.
Yeah.
Since that's your district, Mike, do you know much about this, or could you
I
reach
just
out
know
to
that David is working on it.
Okay. My issue is we passed a resolution, a county resolution, saying that if there is a city annexation, they have to take all of the street in front of that parcel.
Yeah.
This looks again like if they're going to use the legal descriptions that are listed, that's only going to go to the center line of the street. So I just want to make sure before they actually get to us, they include all of the right of way.
Commissioner Culbertson, I have sent the proposed resolution of the city of Linwood to staff review. I've heard back from our GIS and survey departments verifying it's contiguous to the city of Linwood. I've not received input back from either planning or zoning or public works, which is to be expected since it's only went out the last couple of days. But that issue will be addressed. The question is to what extent can the county participate in the decision, since this is contiguous, 50% contiguous to the city boundaries and a voluntary annexation.
Yeah.
I will provide you an additional report. I believe the hearing before the city commission is not until mid-December.
Okay.
So hopefully that will be addressed.
Yeah, that's a good question, though, Jim.
Okay. That's all I had.
Okay, we'll start with Commissioner Stephen. Do you have anything that you'd like to share for the past week or coming up?
Well, we're going to the conference next week. That's it should be good, and that's basically all I have.
Okay, short and sweet.
It's a miracle.
Commissioner Culbertson?
Didn't have anything else.
Just a couple of things. Lansing's Mayor's Christmas tree lighting is 6 p.m. Sunday at the middle school, and Monday I'll be attending the Lansing American Legion Post 411 and VFW Post 12003, their annual dinner out in Lansing. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Okay, and we had an email from you yesterday regarding a KU, what do you call it, educational opportunity. Can you kind of give us a, because I need to see
I think you're referring to the training that KU is going to offer. It's
Right.
it's kind of a seminar, just 4 hours, I believe, where they talk about the relationship or the, I guess, the business practices for people from Japan versus the United States because of the development down south near DeSoto. They feel that there may be other businesses coming over from Japan, and that they offer this kind of ethnic training and diversity training so that you know the proper way to interact with those businesses.
Well, I told you that if none of the other commissioners were interested in attending, I would attend on behalf of the commissioners. But, pardon? Is Tom, are we going to ask Tom to?
Definitely
Yeah.
he's going. I've asked the planning and zoning director to attend, but I thought it would be
One of the
important that
commissioners,
potentially two commissioners also attend.
It's December, that's what I said. I should have opened it up, but I had a different email open today. So, let's see. It would be at December the 11th. That is.
It would be a Monday.
It'd be a Monday, yes.
Yeah. Our meeting's at 13.
So I'll be happy to attend. Is there another commissioner who would like to attend?
I can't do it.
I don't know my schedule. I haven't looked at the calendar yet.
All right, then I'll go, and if another commissioner decides they want to go, it's on the Monday the 11th. All right, So that's kind of what I had. I attended last evening's Board of City Commission meeting and was very informative. But
I just had Mid-America Regional Council meeting yesterday, and then so Commissioner Stevens and I are going to the conference in Wichita, and hopefully we can rally lots of support for the LABTR.
I think you'll be able
I think
to
you'll
do
be
it.
able to. I think that's kind
I
of.
think that's
It's already there. You just got to
it's
keep
on
them
top
fired
of the
up.
list.
Yep. Yep.
This is the closest it's ever been.
Absolutely.
This is the year, guys.
This is the year. This is us getting it done, hopefully. This is for the citizens. This is for the taxpayers. It's not for our egos or anybody else's. This is for our taxpayers and trying to do our jobs.
Don't get carried
First time that the money didn't transfer, I never thought we'd be talking about it in 2023. Still not have it.
Yep. Okay, well, if there's nothing else, then I'll entertain a motion. Oh, sorry.
I think there are a couple general public requests if Chair has the time.
Comments?
Sure. Go right ahead.
Audrey Moody. I live at 15012 Parallel Road, Baser, Kansas. I've lived there for 56 years, and it was county when we were taken in, and now it's city. And I live a half a mile east on Parallel Road, and I've been there 56 years, and I've not seen a sewer yet. So when you talk about all these, they're going to do this and they're going to do that with the sewer, that isn't always true. And also the Ginger Creek lagoons, I think the state is looking into getting rid of all the lagoons and putting in sewer. So there's a lot to be said about sewers around the city of Baser and also out there. And since I own 2.5 acres, I'm very disappointed that you decided to make that area out around Evans Road a 1 acre. Thank you.
Mrs. Moody, I watched the Planning Commission meeting, and I believe you're the one that made the comment about K32, the highway.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know if you were aware, and I was going to try to reach out to you, but the state have done a traffic study, and they do have in their plans to level the hill, and they're going to put their proposals to put a roundabout at that location. So we have been working on that. I believe they're going to start work on that in 2027.
Okay. So the development will probably be in before that takes place then.
Well, it's just a matter of the timing of when they can get the construction, but they've already got engineering on it. They're in the process of doing the engineering, developing the engineering studies.
Okay.
So I just wanted you to know that.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Josh Zinger, 17561 166th Street. Again, a couple general questions and comments. Regarding property taxes, I want to thank each of you for the hard work that you're putting into the important topic of property taxes in the county. The longer you've lived in a location, the more impactful it is. And I understand the complex appraisal process that you don't control and the rates from schools on the locations you don't control. I would just challenge you to consider the controlled growth aspect of us growing at a rate at which property taxes could grow more in a controlled annual, as Commissioner Stuyven mentioned. So something to think about there when we approve the checkerboard residentials instead of forcing them inward is those are affecting residents' valuations by them occurring. Parliamentary question, the redevelopment or rezone request on 166th Street came up and was sent back to planning and zoning. The folks that submitted a protest petition on that believed that when it was sent back, there would be a 14-day parliamentary protest petition period for that, the same as the other one approved that night, because it had never been denied, or it had never been approved. And so that was submitted, but I was informed this morning that because it had been up twice, that it expired at the first time, even though it was sent back by this commission. So no protest petition was accepted for that, though one was submitted.
And that's an attorney question, I think.
I'm not worried about it. Just for future, I would be curious to understand where the protest petition should have opened and should not have opened when it was sent up, sent back down, and then recommended for today's meeting, which we met the deadline for today's meeting.
Right.
And the last one would be on, similar to Ms. Moody, on annexation. The two developments mentioned, Childs and Ginger Creek, have been there for decades without the county or without the city making a move towards extending the sewers. They will someday, I understand. I think the people that spoke and signed the protest petitions, many of whom were in Ginger Creek and would be affected by those increased taxes on or increased rates on a sewer extension, were some of the people most eager to sign it. It's not been done yet. It's not happened before. Nothing's been annexed. Voluntary annexation, we would have to deal with that when it comes. I think the people are asking for the issue to be looked at that's at hand and not look forward an unknown amount of years for something the city doesn't have the capacity nor the funds to extend to. And we really look at each of you to be the check to force the balance into city limits. Why would I, if I was a developer, build outside or inside the city limits if I can go right across the street and build it without the gutters, without the sewers, without the green spaces, without the sidewalks, without the street lights? Yeah, it's more expensive, but it's only if you say, nope, you got to cross the street and go in the city limits, that it's ever going to stop. At the working group meeting after the two planning and zonings ago, 3 of the members, their biggest concern was they don't have a mechanism to drive the growth into the city limits. At a working group, the public doesn't speak, you listen. And so I was unable to talk about that and say that their no vote is the action to control where we go. So we don't have checkerboards. There's no need for checkerboards. The growth could just be inside the very large city limits of Basel, Lansing, Tonganoxie. Lots of rural open spaces to build in. Many for sale signs up on properties. Maybe it's not quite as profitable as 2.5 acre, but profits there to be made, or it wouldn't be happening right now. So thank you very much for your time today, and I appreciate the hard work each of you do.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. You're very well spoken.
My name is Ken Hancock. I live at 16672 Dunnigan Road, Basel, Kansas. You guys was talking about all this rezoning stuff, and you was going back and forth, and we was trying to tell you we had a water problem. I never heard once what you guys' resolution was going to be for the water problem. And then also there's another concern is right there at 166 on Evans Road. That is a very dangerous intersection right there. You guys didn't, but somebody worked on that years ago. Cut that hill down, but they didn't cut it down enough. So we're going to be getting more people out there, younger kids and everything. It's going to be a pretty good, situation right there one of these days. It's like the one on 166 and 32. So, like I said, I would like to know what the resolution is going to be for the water problem. You guys said once about the 32, but nothing about Evans Road. So that's my concern.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, then I will now entertain a motion.
I think you got one more.
Oh, one more? Okay. Come on up.
My name is Sandy Collins. I live at 17809 166th Street. I'm the lucky person that gets to be adjacent to both of these properties. I was a little concerned when all of your conversation theoretically about the property on 166th was totally geared to the 100 and some acre property. You really didn't even discuss the McGee property. I don't think sewers has an issue with it. And as the gentleman just said, you didn't even talk about the issue, serious issue of all the water drainage on both of these properties. And I guess my question is, if and when there are issues and problems and people have flooding and sewers or septic tanks overflow, who's responsible? Who can the people go to for the decisions that were made that allowed that to go into process? Thank you.
Anyone else?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Begin voting with Commissioner
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.